Hello, my name is Valerie and this is my capstone project. Just a little disclaimer, I am a little bit sick, so if you hear it in my voice, I'm sorry. So first we have our table of contents. I start off my academic journey with my years that I spent in a fine arts school in Langley called Blacklock Fine Arts. And then I move on to my grade 8 year which is the year that I entered high school, and I learned kind of the ways to start being independent and like making new friends and just being in that super new environment from the top of the chain to the lowest. And then we have my grade 9 year, which is the year that COVID hit. So I struggled a lot with like the guidelines and stuff. And then grade 10, bouncing back, is when we finally were allowed to go back to school, but it was super restricted, and we had to follow the quarter system in school, which was really difficult, and ultimately it made me a better learner. Grade 11 was honestly a really hard year for me. I struggled a lot with my academic and mental health. It was the year that I finally had to start worrying about what I wanted to be in the future, and if I even wanted to go to university, or like what kind of future I wanted to lead. And then I have me now in grade 12, which is my final year in high school, but I'm trying to make it as memorable as possible. So first we start off with the K to 7 in my fine arts school. This is me in grade 2, I think. So we start off with the pod shows, and these were basically just annual showcases run to show our talents and creativity to our parents and fellow peers. So we had all of the arts showcased in these pod shows. We had choirs, art galleries, like dramatic performances, and dance performances. I remember this one time I played like this really poetic actor. It was really fun. It taught me how to be confident in my own skills and not conform to society's standards. It taught me to think that what I wanted to do was okay, and that I shouldn't have to follow the herd and do what other people thought that I should do. So it made me realize and hone into my sense of individuality. In this school, there was no judgment, which was really fun because everybody was just kind of doing their own thing. Everybody respected one another, and that's really how I think my creativity blossomed, because I was in a comfortable environment to do so. And they were memorable because of the memories I made. I made really good friends there. I made a lot of good memories, and I remember this one time my dad came to one of the pod shows, and it was just really fun, and it was a core memory for me. So my elementary school years were also pretty hard on me. In 2011, I lost my mother due to a disease called ALS, which is like a neurodegenerative disease that targets one's motor neurons, so like allowing me to move and do all the things. So it essentially lets you paralyzed, but still conscious within your own body. So it taught me how to cope with loss and how to cope with grieving. So I lost my mother at the age of 5, so I had to grow up without a mother, and so it left me kind of in the dark with my femininity, and I struggled a lot to like kind of embrace it. So when I was younger, I used to keep my hair up, not wear any dresses, no skirts, no girly colors like pink. And I just it was really hard for me to just accept the fact that I was a girl, and not having a motherly figure to teach me things that mothers would, about like my period and about boys and about makeup. And I kind of just had to teach it to myself because I was raised by a single dad. But it taught me how to be independent and resourceful. So it taught me to not really depend on anybody but myself, and just if I wanted to get things done correctly, I would have to do them myself. And it also taught me to cherish the ones that I love, because you really never know when anything could happen. And it just teaches me to really seize the day and tell everybody that I love them. So this is the start of grade 9. I have attended Fleetwood Park Secondary School since grade 8, so I've kind of grown up here. Everybody has seen each other grow up, and I think it's really cool. So, my grade 8 journey starts off with the grade 8 retreat, which is basically just like a 2-day, 1-night getaway for all of the grade 8s in our school, just to learn what it means to be a dragon at Fleetwood Park, which is just like a thing that we have at Fleetwood Park. Yeah, it's a 2-day retreat. It like we all bond together because we all share cabins, and we stay up at late night even if we weren't supposed to. So at the grade 8 retreat, I made a lot of new friends and I learned a lot about myself. And we built connections with our peers and our teachers and just everybody there, and we really learn what it means to be a dragon at Fleetwood Park. Various activities make us work together in a group and form friendships. Everyone was really respectful of one another because we were all kind of lost and not really knowing what to do. And we all kind of felt out of place there. And I learned to step outside of my comfort zone and talk to whoever I wanted to talk to and do whatever I wanted to do. And just like seize the day and be who I wanted to be and not conform to society standards again. And it also taught me how to make the most out of a non-ideal situation. I remember it was super rainy one day, and all of our socks were wet. And instead of just dwelling on our stinky socks, I remember the girls in our cabin, we all had a really good laugh, and we all stayed up really late that day, like gossiping and talking about boys and all that stuff. And yeah, it was memorable by the experiences that we experienced and the campfire songs that we sang, and the food that was good only because we were hungry. In grade 8, I also met a lot of friends that I still keep dear to me to this day. I still have classes with most of my best friends, and yeah, they've just been with me throughout my entire life. Well, not my entire high school life. I remember this one time I was really lonely and I was just walking around the plaza not knowing who to sit with, and then my current best friends that I have today, they invited me to sit at their table with them, which was really nice, and it was the start of our friendship. And I was alone, yeah, and then my best friends took me under their wing. We've grown up together. I've seen them become women, and they've seen me become women and become a woman. And we've loved, laughed, cried, and grown together. They teach me to rise above all else and to become a better person, always be the bigger person and not, hold grudges and take revenge and whatnot. They also teach me how to be rational, and they hold me accountable for my mistakes, allowing me to grow from them, which I think is something that a true friend does, which they don't hold grudges on me, but they tell me when I'm out of line, and they expect me to be better, and they tell me to be better, and then it makes me want to be better for them. And yeah, they're basically my sisters, and I love them. And then we go into grade 9, which is the start of the COVID pandemic. Yeah, so we were in lockdown. We couldn't see any of I couldn't see any of my friends, which was really hard because at the time online communication, we weren't really used to it. So we weren't really used to texting or FaceTiming, and we always preferred to be face to face. We had online school from March 2020 to June 2020, which was really difficult because nobody really knew how to work Teams, and so it was like we had school, but we didn't really. And it was really hard communicating in school. Nobody really knew the platforms or how to work Teams or Schoology or MyEdBC. It changed my perspective on my health and the health of the loved ones. I learned to prioritize health more and, not overlook some symptoms and like red flags that come up within their bodies. It taught me to cherish loved ones because we really never know what's going to happen to anybody. And it's brought me closer with my family due to forced proximity. So yeah, like I spent every single day with them for like the 6 months that we were in lockdown together, and like we really learned how to be in each other's spaces without like attacking each other and getting mad at each other. And I also developed new hobbies during the quarantine. So I picked up playing games, painting, and dancing, and I joined the dance team the next year. And technology use was at an all-time high. So we weren't really doing school, So we were always on our phones, we were always playing games. And it was memorable by how it changed society and how it altered the course of my learning, because during those 6 months of like no school, I kind of slacked off and I didn't really do much schoolwork as I probably should have. So now we have the start of grade 10. We have, as stated earlier, we had the quarter system, which was 2 classes per term, and each term was about 1.5 months. And so learning a whole course in the 2.5 months was really difficult, because we had like 3-hour lessons and we were expected to absorb all of that information, especially directly after having that March to June period of like no school. So we had like a 6-month summer sometime for like some of us. It was just extremely difficult to sit there and maintain our attention span, especially because we haven't seen our peers face to face in so long, and so all we wanted to do was really just talk, but we had to like sit and learn. And the consequences of the pandemic and online learning made the quarter system a lot more difficult. It taught me how to use my time effectively. So because of the 3-hour lessons, we had so much homework and we really could not procrastinate, or we didn't have any time to, because the next day, just like that, we would learn something new again and it would be 3 more lessons. Being in school was extremely limiting and frustrating. I remember that we had to social distance, and we had sections where only 8 people were allowed in the class at a time, and sometimes we had to leave class for the class to be sanitized. And I just wanted to see my friends and socialize, but obviously with the restrictions, I couldn't do that. I learned that the fast-paced, long lessons were not for me, and it didn't improve my learning, and if anything, it made it worse. So I learned about my learning style in the quarter system, and oftentimes it was super suffocating and it made me really fidgety, because 3-hour lessons were extremely long for like 14, 15, 16-year-olds, with only 10-minute breaks in between, and we really couldn't go on our phones either, so we had to stay seated. And it was memorable by the bad experiences and the stress associated with this time, because I remember we would have like tests every week and quizzes every other day. We were always on our feet, and we were always expected to do something and not have like a single break, which was really suffocating. Oh, and then this is just a picture of me and my friends. Because we couldn't see each other in school very often, we turned to Discording and FaceTiming to talk to each other after school, but still at home. In grade 10, I also joined student council, which is the biggest club in our school. I ran for social media head with my best friend Jada, and we ended up winning, which is a really big accomplishment in my opinion. Student council is in charge of school-wide events, so things like Culture Week. We plan Culture Week, we plan Cancer Benefit Week, the Terry Fox Run and all that stuff. As social media heads, we created advertisements to post online and to advertise the club's events for that day or that week. Keep the student body informed about what was happening within our school, so we posted updates about when events were happening for other clubs, and like course selections and locker selections and all that. And we were also, as our duties as social media heads, we also raised awareness online. So we reposted certain posts online and to spread awareness about certain issues within our community and in our world. And something that me personally did for student council is I took charge of Cancer Benefit Week, so I led most of the planning. We raised money for cancer during Benefit Week, and we planned many events like Pie in the Face and Dunk Tank, which was a really, really big hit with the student body. And student council teaches me about teamwork and project planning. It's memorable by the relationships made, and I'm friends with a lot of the members of student council now, and the successful events that we planned, like Terry Fox, Spirit Week, Culture Week, and the student body really loved those, and I can hope that we do more of those. And so we start with grade 11 now. So grade 11 was the start of when I actually felt all that stress about my future, and it was when I had to actually start worrying about my like university and where I wanted to go. And so yeah, the first semester was super difficult on me. I had all academic classes. I had math, chemistry, and physics, which was really, really difficult because, again, I didn't know how to handle all that stress. And so I was not used to this level of studying because now these were all academic classes, and now they all counted towards my transcript and my GPA, and I knew that universities would look at this. So I was super, super stressed and wanted to get like 100 on everything to prove that I was indeed smart. So yeah, this is when I started to take school super, super seriously and worry about my future, GPA for university. I had to stress out about the prerequisites that I needed for the program that I wanted to get in, which was super, super stressful because, again, I was only like 16, worrying about what I wanted to do when I was 30. I stayed up so many nights to study, and I think on average I got like 4 hours of sleep that year. And I couldn't find a balance between my social life, my family life, and my academic life. And so a lot of the times my academic life took over above all else, and I neglected everything else. So I started procrastinating due to all the stress, and I would frequently take like relaxing breaks where I would just not do anything and then put off my work, and then I'd stay up super late trying to complete the work. And I learned how to manage my time more efficiently, and to section out when I wanted to do things, and I learned to manage my time more carefully and to prioritize my tasks better, so to do the ones that were the most urgent first, and then as I progressed, do the least urgent ones after. And it strengthened the bond that I have with my friends because it allowed us to bond over our mutual struggles of studying. So like if I would be struggling, I know that I could turn to my other friend who would also be struggling, and then we could just have like a study session or like a ranting session, where we could just let go of our stresses even just for a little bit. And so in grade 11, I also went to the Peony Playland with my friends. This is a really big core memory for me because this is my first time being away from family for like this far, because I'm not really allowed to go out alone very far. I faced my fears. I faced my fears and doubts because the rides were really, really scary, and I went on the extra ride that you had to pay money for outside of the pass. And so yeah, I learned the importance of taking risks and to have fun. I learned to just like step out of my comfort zone for a while just to have fun, to not have any regrets, and to just live in the moment. I bonded with the friends that I went with right here, and I also made new ones while waiting in line. And I remember like we talked to this two group of girls that were just, they told us we were pretty, and then we just like had a good conversation and we exchanged Instagrams. It was really cute. I learned the importance of budgeting because the food there is super, super expensive. So I had to ration out my money and really decide on which foods that I wanted to eat the most. This is the first time that like I felt grown up and independent because I was alone without my family, in like a faraway place almost. And it allowed me to forget about the stresses of my life and just walk away and just enjoy and have one day to myself. And it was memorable because of the people that I went with, and the experiences that I made. And it was also memorable because I remember I came home super late that day, and I wasn't really allowed out late. And so in grade 11, I actually decided to go ahead and advance in one of my classes. I took Chemistry 12 in my second semester of grade 11. Being a grade 11 and taking a grade 12 class, it was super, super daunting. I remember the first couple of weeks I had to just really sit down and just learn and not really open my mouth or say anything because I was worried that the seniors would make fun of me or judge me or not like me because it looked like I was being pretentious for taking an upperclassman class. And I had a super like crippling fear of falling behind, and I constantly compared myself to others, like my peers and stuff, and honestly it didn't really do any of the relationships I had with them justice because it kind of just made them resent me because I would do good in some aspects of the course and they wouldn't, and then because I said that I thought I would do bad, they were kind of like mad at me for that. And yeah, I had the fear of falling behind and doing poorly because, again, the class was so fast-paced, and I got into my head that I was a grade 11 doing a grade 12 class, and so I needed like the grade 12 mindset, but I was only in grade 11. Yeah, so that really took a toll on me, but I ended up with the highest grade in the class, my teacher told me, and I won an award for my achievements in chemistry 12. My teacher gave it to me at the end of the year. And it solidified my love for science, and especially chemistry, and I really loved the experiments that we did and just the concepts of learning and the math included in there. It was really difficult, the class, but it was really rewarding. Again, I got like academic validation from doing good in the class, and I learned time management and how to cope with stress. And so from my previous semester, I've already started to use some of those skills that I learned, like time management, prioritization, and I learned new studying habits and techniques and developed better habits. So I practiced starting my homework earlier so that I could end earlier, or delegating a specific time frame to do certain sections of each homework that I had, and putting my phone away, or like studying in a calm environment where I wouldn't have the urge to fall asleep like I would in my room with my dad, my desk and my bed. And yeah, I made new friendships with some of the older students, which I still talk to today, even though they're in university now. And yeah, they were really good people, and they were really nice. And so now we have my grade 12 year, which is me now. So backtracking from my grade 8 year, I started my high school career with grade 8 retreat, and now I'm going to end it with grade 8 retreat. Which was like full circle. Yeah, I experienced the retreat again, this time as a mentor and a leader. I came back and was the one teaching, the grade 8s how to be a dragon. I led stations, and I handled the grade 8s, and they were super jittery and scared and nervous, and they like were scared of who to talk to and if they were judged, and it really reminded me of myself when I was in their shoes. Yeah, I was reliving the experience through a different lens. I was now the older student teaching them, but I knew what it was like to be the younger student looking up to us. I stayed up all night that night, bonding with my grad class and the other leaders that were there. We didn't sleep at all, and I remember we were just around the campfire the entire night, like just talking, getting to know one another. And even if we haven't talked before, like it was at the grade 8 retreat that our grad class kind of all like merged together into one big group. It built upon my leadership skills like patience, time management, and encouragement. I really had to be patient with the grade 8s because, again, they were super jittery and fidgety. And I had to encourage them to, step out of their bubble. And leaders eat last was a saying that kept on coming up. And so basically it was at lunchtime, the leaders would all wait and sit back while the grade 8s had gotten their chance to get food first. And so we always had to sit and watch them eat and communicate with one another before we could go get our food. And it just ensured that the grade 8s had their experience of the grade 8 retreat first. It was memorable by the bonds formed and strengthened at retreat. So again, I made a lot of really good friends. I strengthened the friendship that I had with a lot of other friends. It was just really nice. It was also memorable because I slept in a place that wasn't my home for the first time, which was honestly kind of scary and uncomfortable because we were sleeping on the floor, but it was really exciting for me. In grade 12 this year, I also went to my first ever concert. I went to the 17 concert in Rogers Arena. It was really, really fun because they're my favorite band. Seeing them live was just a really good experience for me. Yeah, they're a K-pop band, which I really wouldn't expect to come to Canada, but then they did. It's a core memory because, again, it was so fun, and it was just like the fact that I was seeing my band live was just like so unreal to me. I remember crying at the concert and being so amazed. Like when they first played their first song, I was like holding up my phone. I was like, oh my god, this is so amazing. So I was like crying. And yeah, it was really fun because I was in this huge group that all shared the same interests. So we could talk about who our favorite member was and talk about our favorite song or talk about our favorite like music video. And it was just so fun and memorable to be understood by such a large group. It taught me to really cherish every day that I had and to be thankful that I was presented with this opportunity again because, yeah, the K-pop bands really almost never come to Canada. If they go to North America, they go to America, like LA and all that stuff. And so just them coming to Vancouver, out of all places, was just so, like, it was such a good opportunity they couldn't pass up on. It really taught me to seize the day. I remember being super anxious about buying the tickets, but I was with my family and they just told me just to do it, and if I didn't do it, I would regret it, and so I just did it. It was memorable because I had the opportunity to see my favorite band live, and it was also memorable by being able to stay late out into Vancouver so late at night. And I remember I was on the SkyTrain home at like 11 p.m. with my voice dead, my voice gone, my phone dead, and it was just a really fun experience. So yeah, that's the end of my, like my learning journey. And so this is a note to my dad, which is my mentor. And so a person who has been a mentor to me is my dad. And, to him, I want to say, thank you for all that you do to me. Although I do not express it, I'm eternally grateful for you. We have our ups and downs, but no matter what, I know that after a long, long lecture, you will always have my back. Thank you for raising me by yourself and not giving up when times were rough. Our bond recently has gotten so much better after some time, and I'm happy that I can come to you and talk to my dad again. I know that you feel as if I'm reckless and irresponsible at times, and I know that I have to work on showing you that I can be trusted. Thank you for always pushing me to do what I love and to pursue a career path that will make me happy. I know that you have your battles, but thank you for always prioritizing your family above all else. At the end of a long day, I know that I can always count on you to give me a good laugh. Without you, I would not be the girl that I am today. You helped me learn, grow, and mature into the person that I wish to become one day. Thank you, Dad. Thank you for everything you have done, and thank you for everything that you will continue to do for me. I love you. And so my dad has guided me through life with advice, support, laughs, and love. And he has taught me about communication, respect, maturity, trust, and perseverance. And honestly, I'm really grateful for my dad, even though I don't say it or anything. Don't tell him. But yeah, he raised me and my sister as a single dad. And raising two girls alone is just really difficult, and pushing them through their teenage years while also supporting their individual interests, because me and my sister are really, really different. And yeah, he always just pushed for us to be our best selves. So this is my future. This is what I hope it'll look like. After high school, I plan on continuing my journey and I hopefully wish to go to university. I plan to continue my education by doing an undergraduate degree at the University of British Columbia, major in chemistry or bio or biochem. And in 10 and 15 years, I want to obtain a bachelor's of science degree in chemistry or biology or biochemistry and work towards a master's degree. I also wish to travel the world in the future. I really want to visit places like Japan or Korea or Vietnam. I want to move out of my dad's house and into a really nice apartment in Vancouver, which is wishing for really big things, especially in this economy, but I hope that one day I can do it. And I want to be completely independent, not have to worry about if my dad will bring home food or not, and I wish to just be able to rely on myself to do that. I want to have a steady job where I can be confident and, again, feel secure. I want to be surrounded by the people that I love. So my family, my friends, hopefully a significant other. And I want to be confident in who I am and really solidify my identity and my image of myself. The growth in core competencies, communication. Student council portrays my strength in communication, sharing information and opinions through verbal communication. So like expressing my opinions for certain meetings that we have and to plan certain events. Effective communication to me looks like eye contact, body language, and showing people that I'm actively listening to them. Honesty, being confident in choosing my words wisely. So thinking about things before I say them, and just being honest, but also not being brutally honest or insensitive with the words that I want to say. Student council has helped me with my communication skills by allowing me to be a part of a team where communication is absolutely necessary. Having effective communication or working towards it helped our unity as a team and allowed for school-wide events we planned to be executed perfectly. I have grown my communication skills by voicing my opinions and keeping in touch with my teammates. So in student council, we really had to be one and really keep each other updated, or else things wouldn't work and events would go poorly, or we would have backlash, or just events wouldn't be planned out properly. Creative and critical thinking. Student council also portrays my strength in creative and critical thinking. And effective critical thinking to me looks like creating connections and synthesizing concepts, analyzing data and research, seeking and comprehending different perspectives, recognizing significance and how things are important to certain people and certain groups, and summarizing information. Student council has helped me with my creative and critical thinking by allowing me to practice these skills. In student council, I take the responsibility for online advertisements in our clubs, meaning I have to regularly post on social media to keep the student body informed on events happening in our school. These posts help me hone into my creativity by allowing me to play around with different aesthetics and making sure that the post will be memorable and eye-catching. They also allow me to hone into my critical thinking by doing research for awareness posts and summarizing information into only the key points and so that the information will all fit on one square. My personal and social responsibility, they were strengthened by volunteer work, engagement, and participation around my community. I manage my feelings and thoughts and emotions by writing them down in my journal or talking to a trusted friend about my problems, and just not having them like bottled up in my body and expressing them in any way that I can. Venting or articulating my thoughts usually helps me and allows me to calm down and sort through them healthily and cope healthily with my emotions and problems. I help manage my loved ones' emotions by doing daily or weekly checkups with them, just like hey, like, how are you? Are you okay? Being an active listener when they are talking to me about their problems, so showing body language, like eye contact if they're talking to me face to face, or like replies while they're like texting me or something, and small gestures to show them that I care. So sometimes I make notes for them, messages, chocolates. Like sometimes I could just text my friend like, hey, like, make sure you get home safe, or like hand them a piece of candy, or be like, hey, I thought of you, or like, I think that that's a really good and healthy thing to do because it shows my loved ones that I care about them. And I also encourage participation within my community. I raise awareness on social media, and I support and promote events going on with my community. I also volunteer, donate, and all that stuff. And I really like just to help out with my community and just help the people that I love. So, career life exploration. This is just a sum of some of the bigger things that I've done in my school career, like Zumbathon, which is the teacher planned event, student council, and my work experience that I did with my father. So next we have a deeper look at our water sources. Sorry, I'm just gonna take a break. My throat is really killing me right Okay, so this is my project, and so for my project, I was really fascinated with the quality of water in my community, so it led me to do this project. What is water? So I have both the chemical and the biological definition. I'm kind of a nerd like that. Yeah, so water is a compound made of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. They're covalently bonded, meaning that they share electrons. Covalent bonds are super, super strong, and they aren't really easily broken. So, they also bond to other water molecules by hydrogen bonds because of the polarity of water, which means that so the hydrogen in a water molecule is positively charged, and then the oxygen is negatively charged, so they are attracted together like this, but then they also have other surrounding molecules, so then they like all attach, and it's honestly a lot. I'm just a really big chemistry geek. H2O, two hydrogens and one oxygen. These are the hydrogens right there, and this is the oxygen. They have incredible chemical properties like a high heat capacity and high surface tension. The high heat capacity is because of the abundance of bonds within the water molecules. So then the bonds can absorb the heat and then allows for high heat capacity. It's a universal solvent, again, because water is polar. I'm just really sorry. My phone is about to die, so I'm gonna go get my charger. Okay, I'm so sorry. I wouldn't want my video to stop recording because my phone died. Okay, again, water is polar. The biological definition, water is essential to all living organisms. Ice is less dense than water, which is a really important property of water, because as water freezes and as the temperature drops, water likes to expand, making it less dense so it can float. And it's super important because the ice in the water for like glaciers and ice caps and stuff, it insulates the water beneath it, allowing heat to stay under the surface, so the organisms under the ocean do not freeze. So even if it's like super deep, the ice, the glaciers and stuff, they allow heat retention so that the water below them doesn't freeze. So water is used to transport molecules within cells. So we learned about this in biology, and so like osmosis and diffusion and all that stuff. It regulates temperature within our bodies, again due to the high heat capacity and the abundance of hydrogen bonds within our body. Water grows our food, almost all of our food, so it's really important for us in that regard. And we are constantly taking in water and excreting water. So we excrete water by sweat, urine, and we increase our water intake by drinking water and eating foods. And even if our foods are dry, it always does contain water in them. So where do we get our water from? So from our, from a body's perspective, we get our water from food. So the food that we eat contains water, even if it's solid. So things like cucumbers, watermelons, apples, and other fruits. We also get our water from drinking it through beverages, or even just drinking straight up water. And we also get water from our metabolism. So as our body breaks down the food, and then they become molecules. The molecules then are broken up further, and water is formed from a process called dehydration synthesis, which creates polymers inside our bodies. And in our homes, we get water from the tap and the fridge, which come through pipes, and they come from rivers and snow melts, in 3 mountain watersheds. And watersheds are areas where streams and rivers drain into the same water. So we get ours from like the city of Surrey. We get water also from rainwater, which comes from the sky. Yeah, in school we learned that rain is slightly acidic with the pH about around 5, but I found that this is only evident in areas of high pollution, sorry, which in BC it's not really that high as of now, so we would not have acidic rain. And yeah, we also get water from like puddles and like rivers and lakes and mountains and stuff. So how safe is our water? So I conducted experiments with the water that I found throughout my community. So first we have rainwater, and so what I did is during the night I just placed a jar outside and waited for the rainwater to fill up my jar, and I took it directly from the sky so I wouldn't have any contamination. So for my experiment, my prediction was that it would be neutral because we lived in a less polluted area, and it would also be neutral because, again, water just comes from the sky. It wouldn't be affected by anything, and it wouldn't be dirty because, again, it was taken directly from the sky. It wouldn't have any particles, any dirt, any bugs or anything like that. And so when I conducted my experiment, my litmus paper results were that it was blue, and which means that the sample that I had was indeed neutral. And so this is actually the picture from my microscope that I made, which was really difficult to see, but just in this section right here, this was the microscope part, and you can see that, again, there's really nothing there. Therefore, the water was clean enough. So now we have our tap or fridge water, which is basically, they're from the same source, so they're the same type of water essentially. Again, I took it directly from the sink, and I kept it in a clean jar to prevent contamination or, like touching other chemicals and all that stuff. So my prediction was that it would be slightly acidic because of the chemicals in the water, because I remember this one time my dad told me that they put chlorine in the sink water, but I think that could have just been like something to say that so we wouldn't drink tap water, but I wanted to test it out for myself. And so when I tested it with litmus paper, I saw that it remained blue, so that meant the water was neutral, so it wasn't acidic, and my dad wasn't telling the truth, and it was safe to consume tap water. So yes, tap water is drinkable. And so again, here we have the picture of my microscope. This is the lens that you look through, and again, no particles meant that our water was pure. It wasn't touched by anything like dirt or like pipe rust or anything like that. And then I had actually taken snow as well as one of my samples. I took it from my backyard, and it was the top layer of the snow, so it was moderately clean, what I thought. And so my prediction was that it would be slightly dirty because it would have touched the ground. I took like a huge scoop. There would be particles in it, and it wouldn't be neutral, but I did not know if it would be acidic or basic because it would be mixed with dirt. And so when I conducted my experiment, I found that the fresh snow produced blue litmus paper, so it wasn't acidic, it wasn't neutral, it wasn't basic, it was neutral. And I actually found something really cool in my sample of snow, and when I put it on my slide from my microscope, I actually saw a tiny particle. I'm not sure what it was, but you could actually see it quite well with my microscope, which was really interesting. And so my conclusions for the project were that the water in our neighborhoods were, The water in our neighborhoods were generally clean and they were safe for consumption, even though that doesn't mean that we necessarily should drink snow water. Neutral pH ensures that we do not ingest harmful chemicals in our water to like a certain extent. So all of the litmus paper that I tested, it showed that they were all neutral, which meant that it didn't have an abundance of acid or it didn't have an abundance of base. The microscope ensured that there were no harmful particles within our water, and I concluded that BC, in fact, does live up to its name and it does have very clean water. And yeah, I also concluded that water can hold and transport harmful bacteria, and it taught me how to conduct a research project. And again, I just wanted to research the effects of polluted water within our communities. Contaminated or poor water quality is linked to the transmission of diseases. So water can lead to the transmission of like cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, polio, and hepatitis A. And polluted water also leads to destruction of wildlife because the animals do not have access to clean water to live, and so they start also developing diseases and dying off. And plant life dies because, again, they don't have healthy water and healthy conditions to grow in. And the microscope that I created was made out of a plastic blueberry container, a mason jar, a strong flashlight, and I asked for some slides from school. And so what I did is I cut the piece of plastic into a square and I punched a hole through it with the hole puncher, and I really strategically placed a drop of water into the hole of the microscope so that I would have sort of like a magnifying glass effect in it. And then I put the flashlight under my jar so that I would have like a really good light source in which that I could look through the lenses from. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. Yeah, this is the blueberry container that I cut it out of. I kept it just for like memorabilia. I don't know, it's weird. And then yeah, I placed a piece of the water sample onto the slide, and I looked through it with my microscope, and that's how I conducted my experiment. Challenges and lessons learned in my capstone project. Some challenges about my research project were that it was really hard to get the microscope to work because of the drop of water that had to be suspended in the hole. The results were practically the same throughout my project, which was really disheartening and discouraging. I had to do one sample at a time due to limited resources. I only had one slide from school and one flashlight, so I couldn't do multiple water samples at once. And yeah, I was super discouraged because I was producing similar results with each water sample. And so the lessons I learned from this inquiry project were that time management is super crucial. I kind of procrastinated a little bit. And just because my results were the same does not mean my work was wrong. It just meant that the water in my neighborhoods were safe, and to be confident in yourself and believe that, you know, you can do this and this is a project that you can do. And yeah, also do not look directly at a bright flashlight. I did that so many times and I hurt my eyes in the process, I think. And yeah, these are the sources that I used to conduct my experiment, and this is the link to my blueprint portfolio, and that's my capstone. Thank you.